Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2, mic check, 1, 2. Hold on, I need a sip of this yerba mate. Love that. Love that. Woo. Welcome to Open Floor. I'm Aaron Simpson, your host. And this is a space where we talk about sports, pop culture, life, and anything that I feel worthy of being on the floor. If it's on my mind, if it's worth unpacking, it's fair game here. And it's going to be on the floor, as I said before. And this isn't just about what has happened in the world of sports, pop culture, and life in general, but it's also about why it hit and why it mattered, why it sticks, why it resonates, and what people are really responding to when it comes to these things, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into it. But if you're new here, welcome to the Open Floor. If you're seeing this on YouTube, I really, really recommend staying to the end of this. But before you do, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this in audio form on podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to it. Leave us a 5-star review. If it's not 5 stars, keep it to your damn self. Okay? Keep it over there. We want 5 stars only. And don't be the one that says, well, I gave you 5 stars because there's always room for growth. Save your growth. Save it. Save it. Give me the 5 and the 5 only. Okay? But I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm very excited for this episode. The Oscars have come and went, have came and went, have come and gone. And there has been a lot of discourse post-Oscar, pre-Oscar, of a film and a character and an actor that played the character that has been kind of polarizing over the last handful of months. And I want to dive into my thoughts about it and why I may have a different of opinion to a certain degree. But I find this very interesting that we're having discourse about this particular character that is fictional. But I do believe the reality of the character is very real and true. I know to me, and I'm sure to some of us as well. And that movie is Marty Supreme, directed by Josh Safdie, which stars the very talented Timothee Chalamet, who plays a character called Marty Mauser. And if you haven't seen Marty Supreme, there's going to be some spoilers here. So if you don't want to listen to that, you probably want to go see it and then come back. But if you don't care, I'm about to talk about the film in some degree and kind of spoil it just a little bit. But I want to talk about this movie and this character in particular because there was a lot of discourse with this movie. First of all, I just want to say I love the movie. It was one of my favorite movies of 2026 that I've seen, 2025, 2026. I thought that the recognition it got for Best Picture was well warranted. I thought that the recognition it got for Best Acting was very well warranted. But I also understand coming up to the Oscars, there was a lot of chatter about Chalamet and some comments that he made about the opera and ballet that many people got offended by. Some people didn't like what he had to say about that. If you haven't seen it, just YouTube it. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to do a drop. But I will say I'm a big fan of opera and the ballet. I am known to sing a little opera tune here or there. But I also will say that I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that had criticism of what he said that have never been to a ballet and have never even put an opera song on their Spotify. So some of you need to relax because you're kind of jumping on the bandwagon, which is typically what happens nowadays. But listen, everyone makes mistakes. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't, I'm not going to get into the political side of that, but that also played a part in some of this discourse. And what I want to talk about is the character that he played, Marty Mauser. And I'm pulling up if you see me looking down here, I'm pulling up some quotes from some of the critics and some of what people have said about the character that made me want to do this episode. So I'm going to give you the synopsis of the movie real quick. A24 said that Marty Mauser is a young man who, quote unquote, goes to hell and back in pursuit of greatness. And several discussions have zeroed in on how abrasive, selfish, and hard to root for he is, while also claiming that he has no redeeming qualities. What I want to talk about is Marty Mauser isn't likable at all in this movie. And I also do not go to movies looking for characters to have redeeming qualities. That's just me. If that's what you do, great. But for me, I don't go to a movie, like I didn't look for the Joker to have redeeming qualities. Okay. I don't go to movies to be like, man, I really hope the Joker comes to his senses, have some self-awareness, goes to therapy. Like I don't go to movies for that. I go to movies to lose myself in the story, to be entertained, and to have a good time. You know, whether that is it's sad, whether it's funny, whether it's a horror, whether it's action, whatever. I go to movies to be involved in a story, okay? To have fun in this world that was created, okay? Marty Mauser isn't a likable character, but I do get him. And I think the reason why I like this movie so much was because to a very, very high degree, I understand the Marty Mauser character. I understand him. Not all of it, okay? But the core of why he's doing what he's doing and why he's so unlikable, I completely get it. I completely get it. Uh, he is a very obsessed character, and he's obsessed with being great, and he's obsessed with being the best ping pong player there is. And he's willing to go to hell and back, like the synopsis said, and he's willing to be great by any means necessary, whether he has to lie, cheat, steal. And there's some moments in there where I'm just like, is he going to kill? Right? I can't understand the morality of it, like in terms of the lack of morals he has. That I can't get with. But the desire to pursue something so great, so grand, that only a few people really can understand what that feels like, I get it. Because I grew up wanting to make it to the NBA. That was my dream ever since I was 14 years old. Ever since my dad got me, there was this, when I was a kid, okay, I was born in 87, okay? I'll be 39 April 17th, so in a few weeks. Growing up, I'm from Detroit, but I was a huge Jordan fan. So I was very anti-Pistons growing up. I was pro Jordan, which was not cool growing up at all. But I was so enamored by Jordan, his greatness, how he played, his style. Just, I was in awe ever since I was a kid. And I was a diehard Jordan fan, just diehard Jordan fan. I grew up playing baseball. I was a baseball player. And there was urban legends around the family that when I was 3 years old, we just moved into this house that my parents still live in to this day. And we had this pretty big backyard. And there were these big trees in the backyard. And it still is a beautiful backyard, but, we cut some of the trees down. But when we first moved in there, I had a blended family. So my parents were each married once before. And so I have 3 brothers on my father's side that are white. My father's white, my mother's black. And then I have 2 brothers on my mother's side. And they're all significantly older than I am. My oldest brother is 15 years older than me. And then my closest brother is 5 years older than me. He's no longer with us. He passed away in 2007. He's also one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast and YouTube channel right now. So thank you, Ian. But there's an urban legend. One summer in 1990, we would always play wiffle ball in the backyard. So we would get the wiffle ball and the plastic bats, and then we would have home run derbies, and everyone would get 10 pitches. You get 10 swings, and every time you hit a home run, you keep going, right? But if you have a strikeout, or if the ball doesn't go over the house, it counts as an out. So there's this urban legend. When I was 3 years old, I hit a baseball over the house. And ever since then, I was kind of like, not conditioned, but baseball was kind of the sport that I naturally gravitated towards, because that was the thing that was, the baseball, the glove, the bat was kind of put in my hands early. And I grew up playing baseball, t-ball, all that stuff. And I was very good. I'm not even going to hold you up. I was very good. And I always played an age or two above me. So all of my friends and my teammates were always older than me since I was like 7 or 8. I remember when I was in 6th grade, like there were kids on my team that were driving already, or in driver's training. It was just like, what? It was crazy. But the one thing about baseball for me when I was a kid, I couldn't watch it. It wasn't fun for me to watch. And I loved playing it, but I couldn't really watch it. So I didn't really study it. I didn't really want to learn how to become a better baseball player. I just loved playing outside. But basketball was different. Basketball was a sport that I not only loved to watch, but I really loved playing. But the interesting thing about basketball for me was I wasn't naturally good at basketball. I was naturally athletic, but I wasn't naturally gifted at basketball. It was something that I had to learn to get good at. And I think me not being naturally good at it kind of drew me to play a little more. Like I really love, even to this day, like practicing and repetition and getting good at a craft is something that I really love doing. So the challenge early on was basketball was a sport that I loved to play, but I had to work really hard at just improving and getting good. And I come from a family of all older brothers. So I was always playing people older than me. So getting hard fouled, not getting the foul calls when you call them, not getting picked to play because you're the youngest. So I grew up with this chip on my shoulder, right? Baseball, I didn't have that issue, but basketball I did. So I really loved that challenge of proving to people that I was worthy, which kind of ties into the whole Marty Supreme thing. So 14 years old, my dad, a Christmas gift that I got from my father was the ultimate Jordan DVD set. So in the 90s, Jordan used to release these home videos, which basically were like a bunch of his highlights and like him giving interviews and talking and stuff like that. And it was like the best thing, just like having an hour of Jordan highlights and him talking about him growing up and his workouts and all this. It was just amazing, right? Well, they took all those videos, it was like 5 videos, and put it on a DVD set. It was like 2 or 3 DVDs, and it had like a bunch of other extra stuff, yada, yada, yada. And once I got that, and once I could watch Jordan stuff on demand, it was like, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it to the NBA. So from the age of 14, I made a decision that this is not just what I'm going to do, this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be an NBA basketball player. So 14, I quit playing baseball. I'm in high school now. I played 1 year of baseball. I said, I'm not playing baseball anymore. I'm dedicating to basketball. My freshman year playing basketball, I played freshman. And when I played freshman, I didn't start. And there was, players on that team that were good, but I definitely should have started. But the reason why I didn't start was solely because I wasn't good at memorizing plays. Like I sucked at plays. Sucked. You put a ball in front of me, I can do stuff. I can play pickup ball all day long, but memorizing plays, I just couldn't do it. And my freshman basketball coach at the time was also my English teacher. So I went to Brother Rice High School, Birmingham Brother Rice High School, my sophomore year. So freshman year, my English teacher is also my basketball coach. He would tell me all the time, I'll never forget, there was this play called Wheel. It's still to this day, just sticks in my mind. I could never understand the fucking wheel. I couldn't get it, right? Everyone else is running the plays and getting it and down picks and cross screens and pick and rolls. And I'm just like, right? I just couldn't understand it. And I remember him telling me, Coach Daniels, he said, once you understand how to play basketball, you're going to be very good. And what he meant was I knew how to hoop, but I didn't know how to play basketball. And I worked so hard to study these plays so I can get in the game. And once I figured out the plays and got in the game, I never not started again in high school. At the end of the season, I got moved up to varsity, the end of my freshman year. And then from that day on till I graduated high school, I started at point guard or shooting guard. Now, when I made the decision that this is what I was going to do, everything that I did from that point on, from 14 all the way until 22 years old, was about playing basketball. I didn't party. I didn't drink. I didn't really go out. I had a girlfriend in high school, but it was like, whatever. It was like, I just want to play basketball. And we dated because she was a basketball player. But everything was about basketball. I watched basketball. I watched the Jordan DVDs. Like when YouTube became a thing, I'm like, I'm YouTubing just Jordan commercials and interviews. And like, I wasn't necessarily as concerned with like watching games. It was more so about how did these players become who they become? What were their workout routines? What were their diets like? Like, what was their off-season workouts? Like, that was what I was consumed about. It was by any means necessary. And I was an All-American nominee coming out of high school. I transferred to a different high school my junior year, had to sit out the whole first half of the season. My senior year in high school, I played the first half of the season, did great, tore my knee, had to have knee surgery. So I lost all of my Division I scholarships my senior year, and I was getting recruited by high-level D1 and also mid-majors. Lost them all, went to a D2 school, Northwood University, shout out, and my goal was to go there for a year, kill, and then transfer to D1. So I go to Northwood, and I win freshman of the year, the first and only in school history still to this day, and I end up staying there all 4 years. Okay, now to paint the picture, I know that going to a Division II school, it's going to be harder for me to do this, but I didn't care, right? I still didn't party. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. All I did was play basketball. All I wanted to do was be the best basketball player that I can be and make it to the NBA. I knew that making it to the NBA out of D2 was like highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely going D1, but going D2, like you're out of your mind. I didn't care. I was obsessed. My relationship suffered. My friendships suffered. I was unbearable to be around because I was like a robot, right? Like if anything got in the way of basketball, I couldn't compute that. I lacked empathy. I lacked experimentation, meaning I had a view of the world. I had a view of what I wanted. And if anything was outside of that scope, I wanted nothing to do with you, nothing to do with it. Why am I telling you all this? I thought we were talking about Marty Mauser. We are, because the reason why that movie connected with me so much was because I was Marty Mauser. I was that guy. I was the guy that did everything in his power to ensure that the dream that he wanted was going to happen. And if anybody got in the way of that, like, you're toast, dude. Like, I don't want anything to do with you or it. Like, I went to school solely so I could play basketball. If school wasn't an option, I wouldn't have went. You know what I mean? And so when I watched the movie, I can see how people say, oh, he's obnoxious, he's arrogant, he's selfish, he has no redeeming qualities. I get it. But I think the reason why that movie spoke so much to me was because I recognized that I was selfish, I was arrogant, I was obnoxious, I was self-absorbed, I was all of those things. And I ruined relationships. I ruined, I had tough conversations with friends, and I butted heads a lot with family and my parents and people that loved me because I was so obsessed with this thing. But the thing that I realize now that Marty didn't realize until the very end was it was never about making it to the league. It was never about making millions of dollars in the NBA. It was never about getting drafted. It was never about making it to the NBA. Just like when I watched Marty Supreme, my interpretation was it was never about ping pong. It wasn't about him being the greatest ping pong player. It wasn't about him being number one. He was searching for validation. He was searching for significance. He wanted to be seen. Now, we don't know all the backstory. We didn't see how he was at 5 years old. What was he like at 10? What was his upbringing like? We didn't see all that. But as someone that was obsessed to a certain degree in my sport, to watch him be obsessed in his sport, I'm willing to bet that he grew up yearning to feel seen and validated and worthy of attention. That he felt that in order for him to be worthy of love, he had to be the greatest ping pong player ever. I remember I was listening to a story that Will Smith told, and he was talking about when he made the decision to be the biggest movie star in the world. Now, I could be butchering the story a little bit, but the meat of it was he had a girlfriend in high school that cheated on him with a player on the football team. Because I believe in his eyes, he said, because the guy was more popular. And he said it was in that moment that he realized, I want to be the most famous person in the world so this never happens to me again. And that created the path of him actually becoming the biggest star in the world, right? Like Marty Mauser, like Will Smith, like Aaron Simpson, you can use toxic energy to get you going. You can use it to get you to where you want to go. But a wise person once told me, the way you get somewhere is also the way you have to stay somewhere. And if you're going to use proving people wrong, if you're going to use I'll show you, if you're going to use I'm going to put myself in an environment and create a world where nobody can hurt me again. If you're going to use that to get you somewhere, great. But that energy is not sustainable. Because what it's going to do, it's going to lead you to a place that I've been where when you get somewhere, it's never going to be enough. I didn't make it to the NBA. Once I stopped playing because I had 3 knee surgeries, I retired. I then wanted to act. Then I became obsessed with acting. I became obsessed with modeling. I moved to New York, sold my car, moved to New York, became a fitness model, got signed the day I got to New York. I got auditions. I'm going to audition. I'm doing commercials. I'm doing all these things. Fast forward a year, I have a nervous breakdown. Right on the subway in Brooklyn, Crown Heights, 2 train, Utica Avenue, right there. To the point where I had to move back to Michigan. I put so much pressure on myself to perform. I put so much pressure on myself to be something. I put so much pressure on myself to be great. Not because this is what I wanted to do, but this is what I needed, in my opinion, to feel like I was worthy of love. Because I grew up the youngest of 6 boys. I'm the last to do everything. I'm the last to play basketball. I'm the last to play sports. I'm the last to go to college. I'm the last to get a scholarship. I'm the last to drive. I'm the last to go to prom. I'm the last to date. I'm still the last to be married. The last to shave. So I grew up thinking, what's so special about me? And then no one looks like me. I'm biracial. I have 3 brothers that are white. I have 2 that are black. No one has my experience. Who am I going to learn from when it comes to identity? I got to figure this out on my own. So growing up, feeling like there's nothing special about me, I said, I got to be the best at something so I become undeniable. And if anybody gets in the way of that, you're done. So when I watched Marty Supreme, I didn't just watch a movie. I saw a mirror. Now, I voted for Michael B. Jordan to win Best Actor. Not because I thought he had a better performance. I thought his performance was the most important in the most important movie of the year. But for people to look at Marty Mauser and to say that he had no redeeming qualities and, he was obnoxious, I'm not going to watch 2 hours of someone be an asshole, I get it. But that also is an indicator that he did a hell of a job to make you think that this person was exactly who you thought he was. That's an indictment of how good he acted at that part. Obsession can make you great, but it can also shrink your humanity. It can make you callous and can make you have zero empathy for people, not just sympathy, but empathy for people, where you're almost not relatable anymore. People come at you when they want to vent or they have a hard time, and it's like you can't give any advice other than, well, you just got to do it. It's like, what do you mean? Like, no one can make you feel anything. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. It's interesting that people say that he didn't have any redeeming qualities, because I think the most important part of the movie, which made me cry at the end, was we watched this guy go through 2 hours of just reckless abandon of being great. 2 hours of just, this is going to happen no matter what. And then at the very end, we get to the scene where he sees his child being born. And he hears his baby cry for the first time. And then it's the first time, in my belief, in that whole movie where he shows some type of emotion, and not just any type of emotion. The emotion that people that are obsessed, men who act like they have it all together, men who act like they have it all figured out, never want to express. And that's tears. But why in that moment would he cry? I don't know. I didn't write it. But as someone that sees himself in Marty Mauser, I think when people say he didn't have any redeeming qualities, I push back and say, I think he does have redeeming qualities, because I think it was at that moment he realized, oh, I got it all wrong. I thought this was all about me. And it was at that very moment where sometimes God will put you in a situation or allow certain things to happen where it forces you to realize that you're not the center of the world. Where everything that you're doing that puts you in this moment, you then realize, like, oh, I've been living life like life is all about me. And it's not. And it was in that moment that he realized that, oh, this is bigger than me. I've been doing this all wrong. I've been obsessed because I want to be validated. I've been obsessed because I've been working this hard so I can get credit. I've been working this hard so I can be known as the best, so I can get the attention, so I can get the praise. I've been doing this all wrong. This is about serving something bigger than me. In order for me to be the best dad that I can be, it can no longer be about me. And I can relate to that 100% when I realized, when I had that panic attack in 2013, when 3 years ago, when I was burnt out, I was in the worst shape of my life. I was 280 pounds. So I was like 90 pounds heavier than I am right now. I was lost. I was emotionally drained. I was mentally exhausted. I was spiritually just numb, that I packed up and moved back to Michigan for 2 years. And it was in that 2-year period that I had to rehabilitate my body, my mind, and my soul. And the key takeaway through that whole process was, I've been so consumed about what I was doing. This has been about me. I've been too consumed with, how does this make me feel? What is in this for me? What is the outcome for me? And so I started saying yes to things and taking on more responsibility, because I needed people to see that I can handle all these things. It's a lie, bruh. It's a lie. It's not about you. It's not about me. And the sooner that I realized that, the more at ease I felt with living life, because I started to take less offense to things. I started to take things less personally, because sometimes you got to get your head out of your own ass. And that's what that moment seemed like for me, watching Marty Mauser cry, hearing his baby. We didn't even see the baby, we just heard it. There's something so beautiful about seeing someone look at their child and all you can do is hear the baby cry, and you're watching the father, the person who has been so alpha and so obsessed and so hell-bent on making something work, crack. Look, I'm not saying that Marty is a role model, because he's not. But I am saying that he's very recognizable because I saw myself in him. And that's why that character worked for me. And that's why that movie connected with me. Again, I'm not saying that I agree with everything that he did. I'm not agreeing with everything I did. But I think it does make him human. And when you hear stories about Kobe, Jordan, Will, Arnold Schwarzenegger was competing for Mr. Olympia in the 70s in America, and he got a call from his mother in Austria that his father died while he was training for Mr. Olympia. And his mother asked him if he was coming to the funeral, and he said, "Why? He's already dead. I got to train for Mr. Olympia." That's obsession. You don't even go to your own father's funeral because you don't want it to interrupt your training. Now, some people would argue that, he made the right decision. He never lost a Mr. Olympia contest. He's considered the greatest Olympian of all time, went on to have one of the most historic acting careers of all time, ended up having one of the most historic careers of anything ever, one of the most driven individuals ever. But you can also argue the other side, based on the documentary that came out, there were a lot of sacrifices that came with that. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not casting any judgment. And I'm not saying that he would. I'm not saying that Arnold would say, "You know what, if I could do it over again, I would." I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, there is a downside to being obsessed with being great. Yeah, people who have that same mindset will get you. And people who don't have that mindset will think you're crazy. Who's right and who's wrong? I don't know. That's not my place to judge. But I will say this in closing. Ambition without surrender can make you dangerous to yourself and others. Because there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and driven to succeed. But if you don't surrender the outcome, and if you don't surrender yourself to the process, where the process doesn't consume you, when you don't need the title or the achievement to define who you are, you're coming into this already whole within yourself. If you're looking for the thing that you do to give you meaning and to give you a label and to define that you are worthy of the things that you want, you are going to be dangerous to yourself and other people. Because someone who doesn't know who they are, that are in pursuit of something that they want, it will never be enough once you get it. No success, no money, no fame, no relationship, no car, no house, no recognition, no prize could ever fill the void of not feeling worthy. The only thing that can fill that void is you and God. And until that becomes the remedy, you are always going to be chasing for the next ping pong ball. Marty Mauser, you are not a role model, my friend, but you are most definitely recognizable. And for that, I salute you. Thank you for listening to The Open Floor. I'm your host, Aaron Simpson. Again, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to wherever you listen to us on your podcast platforms, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this episode. If you agree, disagree, I'm here for all the discourse, and I love you so much. Be safe, be blessed. See you soon on The Open Floor. Peace.